Well, hi everybody. My name is Sue from Sueslimsdown, and welcome to part 2 of my series on Weight Watchers on a Budget. Today we're going to talk about food resources. But first, I'm going to enjoy my delicious breakfast that I have here. The star of the show are my homemade English muffins. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about those food resources next. Before I start talking to you about food, I want to clarify something that I said in my previous video. I told you that you don't need to be a meeting room member for Weight Watchers. You can be just as successful online, which is true. However, if achieving lifetime status is important to you, achieving lifetime status with Weight Watchers, which means you follow certain guidelines and then you don't have to pay for membership again. If that's important to you, then you do need to be a meeting room member or have the full membership. Now, my plan is when I get within about 10 pounds of my goal, I will rejoin or upgrade my status, my membership to a meeting room member because I would like to have the lifetime status. But if that isn't important to you, then you don't need to do that. Okay, well today we're going to talk about food and specifically food resources, how you can save money getting your food. Number one thing you need to remember is that if you are on the Weight Watchers plan, you don't need to buy special food. I don't buy anything out of the ordinary other than what I normally like. So if you want to start saving money with food, here's where you need to start. First of all, take an inventory of what you already have. And I mean everything you have already. That includes everything in your pantry, from your flours, for your spices, your baking powder and soda and all that stuff, to your canned goods. Inventory everything in your pantry. And then inventory everything in your freezer and everything in your refrigerator. And yes, it's going to take some effort and some time, but well worth it. I do that inventory usually in January and in the midsummer after canning season is over with, and then again just before the holidays. So I do it several times a year, but I keep a running total usually of what I have. So make the inventory. That's the number one thing you need to do. Number two, list what you like to eat. The whole premise of Weight Watchers is that you can eat what you like. You don't need to go out and buy all these special foods or special ingredients. So list what you like. And then, after you've done your inventory and you've made your list of the foods you like to eat, make a meal plan. The meal plan is so important and it will save you money. It seems like such a small thing, but it really does save you money. I do mine on my computer. There's lots of ways to do it. If you follow Joan over at Joan's Pointed Plate, she has a printout where she just fills out the basic things. I get pretty specific in mine, and I keep track of the points and everything. This is what mine looks like. This is what I have up on my refrigerator, so that I can go and I can see at any time what I'm having for any meal and what the point values are. And then over here, there's a total point value for the whole day, so I know what I have. It's just me, and if you would like a copy of this for your computer, it's an Excel spreadsheet. I'd be happy to share that with you. But anyway, this will save you money because then you're not rummaging through your refrigerator, oh gee, I don't have what I need, because you've based this already on what you already have. And then if there's something on here that you might not have, you can jot that down on a separate sheet of paper, or I use the notes in my phone for the next time at the store. Like this morning when I did my breakfast, I noticed, okay, I'm getting low on bananas. So I keep my bananas in the refrigerator because I think they keep longer. But that was a trick actually I learned from my daughter. I separate, I don't peel them, but I make them single bananas, and I put them in a bowl in the refrigerator, and they're lasting much longer. I can keep bananas in there for a couple weeks. So, but anyway, uh, meal plan. This will save you money. And I'm pretty specific when I meal plan. I put down portion sizes also, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. So we're at inventory, make a list of what you like, and then make a meal plan based on what you already have. When economic times were difficult, back in the Great Depression, or even back in when things kind of crashed in 2008, people had to make do. That was like the motto: make do with what you have. You don't have to go out and get the latest greatest things. Make do and use what you have, and use all of what you have. If you have a little bit of something left after your meal, find a way to use it again. Freeze your leftovers, or put them in a mason jar and put them in the refrigerator and have it the next day. Use your leftovers. And that's something that some people don't like to do, but when times are tough, you have to make do and use what you have. Another thing that is going to save you money when you grocery shop, and we'll talk about the whole grocery shopping thing here in a minute, is use cash. I found that when I pulled out the cash for my grocery budget at the beginning of the month, I spend way less money than if I just use my card. I mean, it's so easy to pull that card out of your, even if it's not a credit card, even if it's just an ATM card, it's so easy to pull that out for little itty bitty things, like you want an ice cream cone, you pull out your card, or you're at the grocery store, or you're someplace and something looks good. You don't have the cash, you pull out the card. I was spending way too much money in groceries and eating out. So when I pull out my grocery money, I call it my food budget, because I include eating out in that. And when it's gone, it's gone. It's a hard adjustment. I will tell you that. It's a hard adjustment. But it will save you money in the end, to pay cash at the grocery store. I'm not saying pay cash for everything. There's a lot of people that do that and are very successful doing that. I did it for a while. I do use my credit cards for certain things, like gas for my car, and like travel. I'll use my credit cards for that. But I have like 4 different credit cards that I use for 4 different things, and nothing else goes on those cards. Food is not one of them. I will always pay cash for food, except for when I'm traveling. That's kind of in my travel budget. So anyway, so let's recap here. Inventory, list what you like, meal plan, pay cash at the store, but stop going to the grocery store. We are a society of convenience, right? We like going places. For some people, going to the grocery store is sometimes the only entertainment or socialization they get. Stop going to the store so much. Yes, there are people that work at grocery stores. I used to work at Walmart. They depend on your business. And I'm not saying that not go for anything, but stop going like every other day. Try to limit your trips to the store once every 2 weeks or once a month. You don't need to be going to the store all the time. That is costing you money, not only in fuel to get there, but you probably are impulse buying. And the impulse purchases will get you. If you go to the store, if you do go to the grocery store, make a list and stick to the list. Go in there, get what you need, and get out before you start looking at the bakery items and thinking, that's not on my list, but boy, does that look good. Or you're standing in the line at the grocery store and you see, a Kit Kat bar that I haven't had chocolate for a while, and that really sounds good. Those things add up. Stop doing it. So there are a few other ways that you can save money on your grocery bill. Hang on. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple things that you might think are unconventional, but they help save money. First of all, buy in bulk and buy in season. Uh, as an example, I love asparagus, and if you notice asparagus prices in the store, they're astronomical. Of course, everything is right now. They're not in season, at least not in my area. In my area in Northwest Ohio, asparagus usually comes into season middle to end of May. Sometimes it's late and gets into June. Buy when it's in season. It is cheaper because it's more abundant. Um, and buy in bulk. Now, you're thinking, well, buying in bulk can be expensive. Yes, up front it can be. In the long run, it's not, especially if you share those bulk purchases with your friends and family. Just as an example, a month or so ago, my son and I wanted a brisket, and the local meat market had briskets on sale. So, and I mean, this thing was huge. This brisket was like, I don't know, 90 something dollars. We split it. You know, he smoked his, I canned mine because I wanted brisket on the shelf. So, and you don't have to be just two. I mean, you can go in with your friends group or your family, you know. You can split bulk purchases. We used to get, when my husband was alive and all the kids were at home, we used to get a steer every year, but we would split it with family members, and so we'd all pitch in for the price of the steer, and we'd get it from the local, you know, from the processing place, which, you know, my husband was in agriculture, so he knew these people, and it was beef that he helped raise. But we would do that. It would save us money. If you can, barter. And I know that bartering is like an old skill that, in my opinion, needs to come back. You know, and we're going to talk about more of the bartering process when we get into food preservation and storage. But anyway, buy in bulk when you can and buy in season. Produce especially buy in season. And for meat and poultry, see if you can go together with other people to buy what you need. But it all goes back to that list. What do you really need? You know, what do you want? You can also start a community kitchen. Uh, I don't know what the local laws are. I don't even know that here. Is this something on my list of things to investigate about starting a community kitchen where people get together and they've all bought their purchases and you kind of divide up the money and divide up the products so that everybody has something. I think this is a time when we all need to band together and start looking out for one another. Um, and that's just a suggestion, you know. Uh, I buy my flour and other things from an Amish store. Now I have to drive about an hour to get to this Amish store, which I don't mind because it's beautiful country over in eastern Ohio. But there again, you know, you can buy a 50-pound bag, 100-pound bag of flour. Well, what am I going to do with 50 pounds of flour or 100 pounds of flour? I'm not. So what I will do is I will let my sister and some other friends of mine know I'm going to the Amish store. I'm going to buy flour. How much of it do you want? And so, you know, so I'll take 10 pounds, I'll take 10 pounds, blah, blah, blah. Before I know it, you know, I'm left with 25 pounds of flour, which is, for me alone, is enough for a year. So, you know, you can do things like that, you know, and then of course they pay me for their portion and it works out. So that's just a suggestion, another thing to do. Buy local whenever you can. I cannot stress this enough. When you buy at a grocery store, and again, I know there's a fine line to walk because you have friends and family working at grocery stores that depend on your business, but when you buy at a grocery store, you don't know how long that product's been in that store. I just read something the other day, I think it was yesterday I was reading this, that when you buy eggs in a grocery store, those eggs are at minimum 8 weeks old already by the time you get to them. Imagine if you would go to a local farmer and buy your eggs. They would be fresh, and you might pay a couple cents more, but they're going to be fresh and they're going to be more nutritious because they're fresher. I have a friend who raises chickens, and there are certain times a year when she's got more eggs than what she knows what to do with. She will, take them places, say, please take these, blah, blah, blah. So I will get as many of those eggs as I possibly can because there is a method to store them long term that are shelf staple. You don't need to refrigerate them, but there is a certain solution you have to put them in as long as they're unwashed eggs. Of course, you can wipe them down to make sure there's no visible dirt on them, but there is a process, so we'll talk about that when I get to uh, food storage. But, you know, things like that. Find people that raise beef, chickens, blah, blah, blah. Uh, make your own. You don't need to be buying boxed food. You don't need to go and buy boxed macaroni and cheese or boxed spaghetti or anything boxed. When you buy in a grocery store, that stuff is stale before you get it. Uh, and that's why I say buy local. If you're in a community where there's a farmer's market, go. Support your local farmer. This is what keeps us rolling. And the reason you might pay a few more cents more at the farmer's market is because you're paying for those farmers not only to harvest that food, but to grow it, to care for it after it's in the ground, to buy the seeds when it's in the ground. You cannot thank your local farmer enough. Now, I'm not a farmer. I was raised in the city. And I had a big awakening, I think. After I got married, my husband worked in agriculture. And my eyes were open to a lot of things. And I have a niece that lives on a farm. You cannot thank your local farmer enough, and you cannot possibly pay them enough for doing what they do. But buy local. It helps your community. It helps the farmers. Now, this last thing that I'm telling you on how to save money, you're going to think I'm nuts. I'm just putting that out there right now. The best way to save money at home on your food budget. I had to stop the video because I had to go get it. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. It's a food scale. Now, this food scale cost me, I don't know, I bought this one online, but I've gotten ones at Walmart for $10, look just the same. Do you know why a food scale is so important? Well, it helps you with portion control. The more you portion your food, the less you're eating, and the more you have in surplus left over for other meals, you can stretch your meals much longer. Plus, this helps you to stay on program because you're following portion control. This saves you money. Stop and think about it. If you buy a pound of hamburger and you don't weigh it, how much are you going to eat? You might eat a half a pound when the serving size is, 3 ounces. So your Weight Watchers app is a great resource for several things, but mostly because I'm going to click on like bananas here or something else because that's my breakfast. But let's just see something. When you click on a food, it automatically defaults to the serving size. So you can scroll down, you can see how much that weighs, weigh it out. I weigh everything in grams. This has saved me so much money because I'm not overeating, I'm not overportioning. It's so simple, and yet so few people do it. So let's recap what we've talked about. Inventory, list what you like, meal plan, pay cash. Buy local when you can. Make your own, and we're going to talk more about that when we get to recipes. I was going to include recipes in this video. I decided to make a separate video about that. Use your scale. Go in with friends and family to buy bulk purchases and buy in season. Oh, I wanted to say too, Aldi has always been really good about being like the cheapest place in town. It's not anymore. If you've shopped recently at your local Aldi, their prices really are no different than Walmart. But there are less expensive food resources in your community. There is usually a food bank. Your local farmers sometimes will sell you older produce at a discount. There are community shared agriculture, they're called CSAs, that probably you can find one in your area. Those sometimes aren't as expensive. Sometimes they are because there is a fee to join. Churches usually have food pantries if you are in extreme need. And you can always start a community garden. If someone has a plot of land, or you have a nice yard, you can grow your own food. And if you can't do it all yourself, you can open it up to your neighborhood, and then share the produce. Those are just some other ideas of food resources. So those are my tips for food resources and buying food. Remember, paying cash is really important. So, any questions or comments, please comment below. Like and subscribe. If you haven't watched my first video, I will try to remember to link it either up here or down in the comments below. I have started a playlist on Weight Watchers on a budget, or WW on a budget, so you can go to my playlist on my YouTube channel. If you haven't, please subscribe, like, give it a thumbs up, share. And my next video will be on recipes and how to afford all those Weight Watcher recipes that you think, how am I going to get these ingredients? So stay tuned for my next one. Bye-bye.